I'm using a Mac as my primary machine, but most of the things we're doing here would work equally well on Linux. So I wanted to see if I could compile one of the demos from AROS on my Mac using VBCC. So this is slightly interesting because AROS is compiled with GCC, which is a slightly different C compiler. However, that all appeared to be reasonably straightforward. I previously set up my environment with VBCC and the 3.9 include files from the NDK, but what I was missing was cybergraphics. So rooting around on the internet, I managed to find the cybergraphics headers, or at least some cybergraphics headers. Turns out that there were 5 header files that had to be copied into various different parts of the include directory under cybergraphics, clib, inline and proto. So I copied those all in. There was an error in one of the header files that looked like it was related to the PowerPC, which I'm not using. I'm using the 68,000 only on the Apollo Vampire accelerators. So I just deleted that and the problem went away. So I've hacked the header files very slightly to get them to work. There was also a reference to macros.h, so I added a completely blank macros.h file. In the actual code itself, in the demo file, there was a reference to memory.h, which I just completely deleted. And then within the code, there were some references to tag data elements, which were using a type that doesn't exist in my include files. So I just changed those types to ulong, which is the actual type, rather than using some type alias that I don't actually have. So really just a tiny number of changes. So underneath string.h, I think we had a memory.h, which I removed. I'm just making a note that I did that. So very few changes needed. The file looks and reads like standard C. Doesn't use any specific features from GCC that I can see. Looks like it should assemble and compile with VBCC fine. So although the header files were necessary to get this to compile, the code actually opens and closes the library dynamically, as you can see. So cybergraphics is opened dynamically. As long as cybergraphics is in our Amiga's lib directory, that's going to work. It's a dynamic load. So here we see the window being opened onto a screen that has 8-bit color depth. It's all nicely structured. I mean, it's a demo that I just lifted out of GitHub from the AROS repository. It's interesting because it's opening a window with a decent color depth. To compile it, I've got this little shell script that is just executing the VC command against libamiga with that source file makefire, which is the Dawafire demo file, telling it to use a 68020. And then copy the output to my SD card folder, which I copy over using a web browser to the Amiga. The fact that it builds is good. Obviously doesn't prove a great deal. Moment of truth, of course. Does it actually work? Copied it over to the Amiga, put it onto the RAM drive, copied it over here, and there it goes. There is the freshly compiled AROS demo running on Apollo OS, which of course is completely compatible with AROS. AROS is the core of Apollo OS, So all of the software from AROS should work on Apollo OS. So that's a small step in the right direction for me, getting some software from AROS to compile and run on the Apollo. And thanks very much for watching.